listener, hello. Well, Europe's biggest breakfast show has a new host. How did she go? Let's find out with her first review.
It is 6:31.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Sara Cox Breakfast Show. Monday, 6th of July, 2026. Oh, me sure so much. You all right? It's nice, isn't it? It's nice, this, isn't it? Hi to James from London. I'm no longer devoted, but I will be a serial listener. You see, that's good. Write that down, somebody. Kicked off with About Damn Time. This is finally. No message in the music. Don't be silly. No, come on. That's too self-indulgent. No.
That was Sara Cox, who has just started the Radio 2 breakfast show in the UK on the BBC, which is Europe's biggest breakfast show. She's only just arrived on the breakfast show, but it has been with Radio 2 for a while, and before that, Radio 1 and others. And I saw a fantastic review of her first show, so I thought I'd better get on the person who wrote it, Rachel McGrath, who's a freelance culture writer, and this piece was published in The Independent. Hello, Rachel.
Hiya, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for joining us. You loved the first show, yeah?
I did. I loved it so much. I've always been a big fan of Radio 2. I've always been a big fan of Sara Cox. And I feel like it's felt like it's a long time coming. I just thought she brought so much fun. She brought such a great energy. I think my mornings are about to get better.
Hey, that's exactly what every radio controller and programmer would want to hear, that your mornings get better with the presenter. And we just heard how much fun she was having, and the little dig about At Last and About Time in her opener at 6:30. I thought that was really clever. So just for those who don't know Sara, her backstory. So she's been on TV and radio for a while in the UK, yeah?
A really long time, yeah. So she is kind of part of this group of presenters that we have on sort of TV and radio that came through in the 90s. Always been a bit edgy, always been a bit fun. In the 90s, it was very much this crowd that was sort of, they were in the tabloids a lot. They were out a lot. They were having the time of their lives at Glastonbury. So she kind of came through then in the 90s. She's been on BBC Radio, I think it's 28 years, which she did mention a couple of times in the first show as well.
Yes.
But I'm like, you know what? Own it. Like, you've done it. You've got the experience. So she's been around for a really long time, both on radio and television, various gigs. And she'd been on Radio 2 for quite some time as well. She previously hosted their Drive Time show, which is essentially the second biggest on the channel.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know the Radio 2 breakfast show, my sort of history with it only goes back as far as Chris Evans. So if we go backwards in time, we've obviously just had Scott Mills. Before Scott, we had Zoe Ball. And before Zoe Ball, we had Chris Evans. But this is the Terry Wogan breakfast show from a long time ago. Now, Australians would probably know Terry from Eurovision, but he was probably one of the biggest personalities of the sort of the 70s, 80s era, right?
Absolutely huge. Yeah, a huge name across the whole of the BBC. A huge name, obviously, for Eurovision. Really made his name there as well. But yeah, and I think his kind of tenure really speaks to how big the show is as well. That's the level that it's at. The person who presents the Radio 2 breakfast show is one of the biggest people on the BBC.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like a big warm hug, Radio 2. Like every time I've listened to it, you can hear the distinct programming of Radio 1, particularly around youth culture and music. You can hear the distinct programming around Radio 6 and 5 Live and the other BBC radio channels. Radio 2 feels like it's impossible not to like it. It's for everyone. Everyone comes in the door. Everyone has a good time. Take your shoes off. Enjoy the party. So I think from that point of view, Sara is almost like straight out of central casting for that hosting job in breakfast. Now, the thing that amazed me about her opening show was how positive it was. And in your review, you talked about that. So when you first turned on and heard her start the show, just give our audience a sense of what you heard.
It was just really lovely. So, she opened it with a couple of songs, as we said, sort of nodding to the fact that, it has been a long time coming. I think it was, CeCe Peniston finally, and Lizzo, About Damn Time. And then, she just gives her usual kind of upbeat, very jolly intro. And I think the thing that Sara Cox does really well, and that Radio 2 generally does really well, is they really bring the listeners in. It is a very listener-focused show. So the old one that she presented on Drive Time, there were never any interviewees. There were never any celebrity guests. That doesn't come into it. Obviously, the breakfast show, the major difference really is that you've got these huge famous stars coming in. But even in the first couple of shows that we've seen now, so we had the first one, she had Tom Hanks. I think this morning she had Olivia Rodrigo. Even with those big A-listers present, it still already feels very listener focused. So yeah, it's just a really, really nice energy. Like straight away, it kind of like puts a pep in your step. Yeah, it's just a lovely way to start the day.
Exactly what breakfast radio should do, right? We actually got a little grab of that Tom Hanks interview. Have a listen.
There's a time when all the stars align, where the moon and the earth and the sun form a straight line of cosmic brilliance. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen regularly. Regularly like the Sara Cox Morning Breakfast Show on the BBC Two.
Can you say on BBC Radio 2?
Oh, I meant to say BBC Radio 2. Big difference, eh?
It's a pretty good get to get Tom Hanks on your first show, I would have thought, and to get him to try and do a promo for you. That's amazing. So she comes on the air, she does her own show, but her listeners, as you say, are kind of a big part of the show. Now, she used to have this segment in the Drive Time show. I think they were called Tea Timers. Is that right?
Yeah, it was called Totally Tea Voted. So the idea was that there was a catchphrase every week, and you could register your phone number, and then she would phone a random person, and if you said the catchphrase, I think you won a Sara Cox mug. This has made the transfer, obviously with a slight change. I think it was called Rise and Surprise or Surprise and Rise. I can't fully remember. But yeah, it's essentially the same thing in a new guise and with new breakfast prizes as well. So this time I think it's toothbrushes and socks, which is great. But yeah, I think it's a really good example of just the sort of silly fun that is being had.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's good to hear that the BBC has the same prize budget that our ABC has here, where basically if you win a prize on the ABC here, you win a fridge magnet. That's about it. So...
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, those toothbrushes will have broken the bank at the BBC.
Yeah, exactly. Now, in terms of ratings, so it is the biggest radio show in Europe, Radio 2. It's got an enormous reach. And the pressure for ratings in the UK, the system is basically every quarter there's radio ratings that come out. And so I guess she's got a little bit of time here to settle in. Obviously, they'll be getting the research. They've got all their streaming numbers so they can kind of see what's going on behind the scenes. But I know that, they don't make knee-jerk decisions. So she's got a length of time here to settle into the breakfast show.
Yeah, a really good length of time. Yeah, I think with our ratings as well, they're actually like a little bit delayed. So they come out every quarter, but it's sort of one behind. So yeah, there's a little bit of time. And I think, honestly, I just think she's come into the role so prepared and already so kind of well loved. I mean, obviously the way that she came in, Scott Mills's exit was, very sudden, very unprompted. And I think it's a real result for Radio 2, to be honest, to have somebody who was so ready that they could kind of parachute in. I'd be very surprised if we saw like a sudden drop in listeners or anything like that. But yeah, she's got plenty of time to kind of get her feet under the table and just enjoy the job.
Yeah, that's good too. And I think that that's really important for presenters to be able to settle in. Obviously, she's going to bring some of her drive time audience, but most of the people listening to her right now would have been listening to Radio 2 Breakfast for a while. It's not one of those things where people's habits change so quickly like we think they do, and not as quickly as they do with other media platforms. Radio still has that habitual listening, and for people who get up and love that that vibe in the morning with Radio 2. I mean, I remember listening to Chris Evans when I was in the UK for a bit, and it felt like no matter what mood you were in, he was in a better mood. It felt like his job, he knew the job description was, I'm going to put you in a better mood. I'm going to sing along to a silly song. I'm going to get some callers on the air and see what they're up to this morning. And that carried through with Zoe Ball, carried through with Scott Mills as well. And, it's a really amazing thing, I think, to have presenters that are all different but consistent in the way they know what the job is.
Yeah, I mean, to be able to do that at any time of day can be tough sometimes, but to be able to do it when you've got up at 4:30 in the morning every single weekday, is huge. But yeah, I think it's also that thing of everybody knows what a big job it is. And it is a job that simultaneously you need to take really seriously and you need to bring your A game, but also you've got to have fun with it. You've got to be able to bring the silliness. So yeah, I think the BBC generally has done really, really well in securing that run of hosts who can do exactly that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Rachel, in your review, I won't spoil the surprise. You gave it 5 stars. You thought it was an absolute. I'm trying to think of the best UK phrase: smashing, banging. What would you go
Smashing,
with?
yeah,
Smashing?
we could call it a hoot. That's a
A
very
hoot?
UK phrase.
A hoot first show. So great review from you, and I really enjoyed the way that you obviously understand radio. I think a lot of people who work in the industry, we sometimes get frustrated with people who don't understand radio, who write about radio for publications. But I could tell from the way you wrote up that article, and I'll link to it in the show notes from The Independent, you really understood what the job was, and you really were supportive of Sarah. And I think that's a great tonic for radio presenters who are used to perhaps reading more critiquey or criticisms. And I just really enjoyed reading it. So I really wanted to have a chat to you about the show.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, that's amazing to hear. I mean, I love radio, to be honest. I always remember I wrote a piece during the pandemic, actually, about how listening figures in the UK shot up massively because radio just became, it was like your best friend, right? I mean, I was turning on the radio at 7 a.m. and turning it off at like 1 a.m. And I think I've always been a big fan, but I think that just really speaks to like how important radio can be and what it can bring to people. So yeah, I'm always here to fangirl over radio.
Excellent. Well, you're in a great market for it. I think around the world, the UK is still admired for the creativity and the personality and the A-grade presenters that take those jobs, because it's not the same in every part of the world. We know that some places in the world, the radio industry has been decimated for talent. But in the UK, we know, and Australia's the same really, that we do keep our best talent on radio, and they love radio. I mean, I love that about Greg James. I love people who love radio because you can feel that coming through the speakers and they make you want to stick around with them. So I'm glad we found another radio lover in you as well.
Amazing. Same. It's lovely. Always lovely.
Thanks, Rachel. Well, keep listening. And if you spot anything you think we should know about, whether it's on Radio 2 or any other radio stations, and you want to jump back on the pod and have a chat about what's happening in Radio the UK, we'd love to get you back on.
Amazing. Would love to. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Thanks, Rachel. Rachel McGrath there, who's a freelance culture writer. Her piece was in The Independent. 5-star review for Sara Cox's first show, and we'll link it in the show notes so you get to see that. And it's really great to see people supporting great radio people, and Sarah is a great radio person. And you never know, I'll try the BBC. I'll try BBC PR and see if we're lucky to ever get her on the pod. It would be amazing if we could, but she's pretty busy at the moment. All right, dear listener, that's it for today. Tomorrow, a very special episode. Liam is talking to Richard Stubbsy Stubbs. Yes, the Melbourne Breakfast King, who has been on Triple M and been on the ABC and been all around radio. He's got some really important lessons for you in comedy and radio and how he got his break. That's a great episode. You'll enjoy it. It's coming up tomorrow. But for now, dear listener, see you later. Bye.
Vernon Kay's here.
Hi, Sara Cox. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. You had a good weekend, buddy?
Yeah, great. Went watching Duran Duran last night.
Very nice.
They did 2 hours, and every tune was, oh, it's this one. Oh, it's that. Oh, wow. Oh, Rio. Nice.
Were
Yeah,
you
Wild
wearing
Boys.
your
Oh.
white suit in a sort of Rio style?
The linen trousers did have a sharp, starched seam down the front.
What a beautiful image to end my first show on. Have a good one, buddy. Thank
Thank you.
you.